Let's start this thing off with quarterback. I'm running a really tight, tight pool here this week. I wanted to really narrow it down with these great games, and there's a lot of good game environments at the end. I'm going to go over some game stacks that I like. So some of the players might not be in the pool, but I think this is a week, given the great game environments we have, that we can overstack some of these games in order to those are games that if the one shoots out and you've got the right pieces in that game, you can take something down. So let's look at our main pool, though, for our regular builds. Starting out with quarterback, core plays this week for me. Taylor Green, he's back, 8,400 from Arkansas. He's a core play number one, highest projected player for me on this slate. Just been absolutely dominant to start the year, throwing for basically 300 yards a game, running for 100 yards a game almost. Gets a solid matchup with Memphis. Memphis, very good G5 team, but I do expect Taylor Green to put up very good numbers in this one at 8,400. Core play number two at quarterback. He's going to be a core play basically every week, especially while they don't have a run game, taking on an Auburn defense that I believe is leaky. Give me John Mateer. So at home, he played great against Michigan. This matchup is better than that Michigan one, if not close to even. But certainly Auburn's defense not better overall than Michigan's. Michigan does not have top-end talent, but they do have a solid unit across the board. He's carrying the team right now. So we saw it in that Michigan game. The two other games were blowouts. He still managed to put up solid numbers, more than 3x value. You look at the Michigan game, he approached 4x in that one. He had to throw the ball, and he ran the ball almost 20 times. These are the types of games where he's going to push for double-digit rushing attempts and multiple scores on the ground while also putting up those numbers through the air. So he's definitely in the core pool. Now you're saying, hey, you're going to spend a lot of money here. Yeah, I'm spending a lot at quarterback. I'm spending a lot at running back, and I'm going to go cheap at wideout. Wide receivers deep this week, and it's very cheap. Core play number three for me is going to be Josh Hoover. Does not project as well as the others on a point per dollar basis. I just think that this is a game that is going to shoot out. SMU's defense is solid against the run, and Kavorian Barnes being banged up and questionable for the Horned Frogs is going to lead me heavily to their passing offense. Hoover's not going to run at all, but he's priced down a little bit. That's what gives Taylor Green the advantage here. I just think that there's a legitimate possibility you see 400 yards passing and 4 touchdowns out of Hoover. No doubt in my mind he hits the bonus at 300. The Abilene Christian game is a very good baseline of where he probably can end up with like a 30-point game at 8,200, and he has upside for much more in this situation. Final core play for me is going to be a slightly off the board, but I'm a buyer. Give me Darian Mensah at 7,400. This is not an NC State defense that we have seen in the past, like from Dave Dorn. I think the floor is massive. This team throws the ball at as high of, if not a higher rate than any other team in the country. Does not sound like a Manny Diaz Duke team, but it is. He's going to throw for 300. He's going to throw for multiple scores. He has rushing upside that's not been utilized as of yet. I think 25 to 28 points is very well in the cards. I think he gets towards 4x. He can likely push for 30. Love this game environment. It's going to be a top game stack for me. I think he goes under-owned by comparison to the other guys and where he should be. So if I'm ranking them, I go Green, Mateer, Mensah, then Hoover. Hoover's my fourth of my core, but he is in the core 4 for sure at quarterback. Top GPP play. Do I get here? Maybe, but I don't know that I will. But if you want to go off the board, I think you I don't think Austin Simmons plays. I really don't. It says right here, he's expected to start. I don't believe it for a second. So you would have to watch the news, but I think that does suppress ownership on Trinidad Chambliss. He ran the ball extremely well last week, played great against Arkansas, put up a 40 burger. In this Tulane matchup, I think you're going to see points, a lot of points for Ole Miss. I don't know that Tulane can slow them down as much. They had some troubles. I know the game was over already when Mensa put up the numbers last week. I think Chambliss can put up those similar numbers this week. He is a heck of a pivot off of Taylon Green and Josh Hoover at 8,500. He's a big time play. I think he's the top GPP play. I think he goes under owned in this spot with the news that I think they're going to continue to say that Simmons is there. So if you want to take the risk of lighting a little money on fire, but have the chance to win something with Chambliss, he has a great stack partner in Harrison Wallace. I'll take shots, but it's going to be on some cheaper entries by comparison. I'm not going to play him in the $20. That's for sure. Other quarterbacks in the pool. I don't think you can take Dampier out of the pool. His rushing capability is just too high. I personally love this Texas Tech defense. I think they're underrated. He's throwing the ball fairly well. That's not his calling card. It's going to be on the ground. So it gives him a massive floor and a massive ceiling. It's realistically his first test for me, but I think you can take shots on Dampier. He's just not a core play, but he's in the pool, certainly. CJ Bailey also in the pool. Duke's just been getting shredded. We had, I always want to say Parker Retzlaff, Jake Retzlaff, as the he had 4 rushing touchdowns at 100 plus yards on the ground last week. Bailey has solid rushing floor. You look at this Virginia game with 44 yards and 2. I think he has that throwing upside in this matchup as well. You pair this type of rushing with this passing, you end up with a 30 burger easy. I think he has that capability. He's a good GPP play. He's in the pool for sure. I'm going to have some of him in certain situations. Will he be in the $20 for me? Probably not. I'm probably going to stick to the core 4 for my $20 entries in this big prize pool. But some of my cheaper stuff, I'm going to mix in some of these game stacks that we're going to go over. The last guy in the pool for me is going to be Bayron. I think I can get to him. These are guys that outside of game stacks, I'm willing to mix in. Bayron's been on fire. Utah, yes, good defense. Yes, it's hard to play at Rice-Eccles, but Bayron's playing so well that I don't know that I can get away from him. Will I play him without Utah pieces? Possibly. Do I think there's a world that they stop Utah and Bayron just absolutely dominates this game? It's possible. I think 300 yards and 3 touchdowns is possible. Do I want to necessarily go there? No. He's probably the last guy that I'd put leaving in my pool for regular stuff. When you do these stacks and these game stacks and these cheaper entries, like, yes, there's other quarterbacks that are going to get played. You'll see that when I go over those game stacks. But as far as the core pool, they're guys that you want to pair outside of those game stacks and be willing to go with as options to try to maximize a kind of a perfect lineup. Running back. So 2 core plays for sure. Number one, my number one play of the week. It's not even a question. It's TJ Harden at 5,500. So he's taken over this backfield. I think he gets the bulk of the carries. The matchup's great against TCU. I don't think TCU's run defense is anything to write home about. The lack of mobility for Kevin Jennings right now, you notice Kevin Jennings was not in that pool. Even in that Baylor game where it was a shootout, he still only had 24 points. So I somewhat worry what his upside could be in that situation. That doesn't mean that if I'm playing a TCU game stack that Jennings won't be in it. Yes, he will. But Harden has emerged as the top running back in this offense. We've seen it be great. I think TCU struggles to stop the run. And with Jennings and his ankle injury, you're going to see more dump off potential, and you're going to see more run plays that go towards Harden when he's on the field. He's definitely the trusted guy in this backfield, no doubt. And at 5,500, he's the glaring value on this slate. So he's my number one core play of the week here. Keywan Lacey's getting a ton of work. He's a core play at 7,700. Not the highest projected, not the highest points per dollar play. That definitely goes to Harden, but he's getting all the work. Am I concerned somewhat from this 17 carry, 44-yard performance against Arkansas's defense? Probably Tulane's probably a better defense than Arkansas. Yeah, a little bit, but I love this 4 catch for 40 yards against Arkansas here. He was getting used as a dump off option for Chambliss. And if Simmons does end up starting, he's not going to be mobile, so he's going to have to dump the ball off. That's going to leave Lacey. Lacey's just on the field a ton. So I like Lacey in this situation. Do I expect a 32-point or a 25-point? Not necessarily, but I think Kentucky's defense is very similar to Tulane's, so I'd expect something in that 20-point range. It just feels safe and feels good there. Now, the big question mark on this slate. So Sutton Smith will be a core play if we get word Greg DeRozier's is out. So I've got him marked as orange. It's to be determined. He ends up being a very good GPP play if DeRozier's plays. If he doesn't, I love his volume. He's a very good pass catcher out of the backfield. You just saw what Keywan Lacey was able to do out of the backfield against Arkansas. Smith is better pass catcher. So 4 for 40 gives me an 8-point floor at 6.6 just on receiving alone. You add in his rushing upside. He's got good rushing capability. I think you're looking at 20 points here, no doubt about it. So if DeRozier's is there, we'll learn more on Sunday morning or Saturday morning. I'll know a lot because I have good Memphis beat writers. So we'll be able to figure that out on Saturday when we're doing the live before lock show. Hopefully we'll know whether DeRozier's is dressed or not. If he is, I'll downgrade Smith. He'll be more of a GPP option. If DeRozier's is in street clothes and not warming up or has some ailment that's clear hampering him, then we'll make Smith a core play, no doubt about it. So I'll have to build. I would recommend building 4 Smith being in, 4 Smith being out of your pool somewhat in order to be able to cover all your bases there. GPP guys, so top GPP plays for me. I think Adam Randall's a great play this week. Syracuse got absolutely demolished on the ground by Cam Edwards of UConn, by the Tennessee running backs. He's getting all the work in this backfield. He legitimately could be a core play. If I'm not playing Lacey, I want to play Randall in that range. I love him at 7,100. I'm probably going to end up being heavily overweight on Randall. He has 1 rushing touchdown in each game. I like his receiving capability out of the backfield. Don't quite know why they didn't use him out of it against Georgia Tech. That's a very good option for them. So I would expect we see him really get going here in this game. Everybody's going to predict a Klubnik bounce back here. I prefer to play Randall just as an offset to that. Now, Klubnik's way too priced up for this matchup. Other GPP play. So, and this one's going to be uncomfortable because Utah got a great run defense. But Jacoby Williams, yes, he's splitting work. I love the pass catching capability and the explosiveness for him. At 5,800, I feel like they priced him down a little too much. If they would have switched the pricing of him and Cameron Dickey and Williams was in that mid 6K range, I'm probably a little bit less interested. But his upside receiving out of the backfield, Bayron's going to be able to hit him. He's going to be able to run the football a little bit. He's a little more explosive. This isn't necessarily the same Utah defense. I'm not as concerned. I would say I'm going to want some Jacoby Williams mixed in. I think he goes under-owned given his price tag and where he's at, but you're going to need to find value, and this is a very good option for that. Other plays in the pool. Jeremiah Love has to be in the pool. He's the top raw projected player at the position. He got the workload last week. They're going to need a lean on him. I think they learned a lot in that Miami game. Do I worry about the floor? Maybe. I think they blow this team out. Is it possible they score on defense against Purdue? Yes. Is it possible they score in the return game? Yes. Does that take opportunities away from Jeremiah Love? Certainly does. He should get 100 yards rushing and at least a touchdown. That's going to give you, an 18-point floor. So I would say you're looking at minimum 2x there. The upside is there. He can easily get to 200 yards, but I do worry a bit about his ceiling potentially in this matchup. That's what doesn't make him a core play. Hollywood Smothers. So he is a fabulous play. He's the top back in this offense. He gets most all of the work. Do I worry about he's the only thing keeping him from a core play is I worry about his red zone usage. They've managed to use CJ Bailey in the red zone. They've managed to use other backs in the red zone, get a little more power look out of it. He's used a ton in the pass game. He's used in the run game. He's been very good. This Duke defense isn't necessarily great against the run, but it's solid enough that it keeps him from being a core play, but a guy that I will want to get to. I just prefer the Lacey Randall guys over him for a slightly cheaper price tag. This probably could be highlighted as a GPP guy, but I'm going to go Emmett Johnson here. I think he's in the pool. I notice I kept the Michigan back out. I just think Justice Haynes. Yeah. So I kept him out. I think they're going to struggle. This is going to be a low-scoring game. Emmett Johnson gets a good amount of work running the football. I like his pass catching capability. I think we could end up seeing like a 7-catch game here. So that's why I'm going to keep him in the pool, is because of the pass catching ability. So if I'm going to pay up, I want dual threats, and each of these guys is a dual threat and able to catch the ball in the backfield. Right now, I'm keeping Mike Washington in the pool. I don't know that I end up staying there. His workload's not necessarily where I would love it to be. You look at the Ole Miss game last week. He was lucky. He got bailed out by these 2 touchdowns and the long pass receptions. I think you keep him in the pool, but he's towards the bottom of it for me compared to the other guys. I much prefer everybody else we've talked about so far. 2 value options. I got to give some value, potentially. Not nearly as good a value this week as it was last week. If you've seen Willis is out, or even if he's in, I don't hate taking shots on Will Nixon. Clemson, tough matchup for this team, but ultimately, I like the pass game work. That's a common theme here. And he's been kind of splitting rushing reps. He's not very good on the ground. But at 3,500, I think you can get to 13 points without needing a touchdown even. So I think he's a viable play as a flex play. If we get word that Yassine Willis is out, then I'm going to be more in on Nixon. If we get word that he's in, I'm still in, but I probably prefer some of these pass catchers that are super cheap. Typically, I'd want to play 3 running backs, 3 wideouts. This kind of feels like a 4 wideout week potentially if we need the extra value, but I don't know that you have to get the extra value here. Last running back I'm going to highlight. I'm interested enough in DeJuan Williams. He's gotten double-digit carries in each game. Nolan Ray's priced up by comparison, but Nolan Ray's been absolutely terrible. This FIU game really showed something for me. double-digit carries, multiple pass catches. This is going to be a moderately close game, in my opinion, with Wisconsin. I don't trust Wisconsin to be able to blow the Terps out. So I do have interest in DeJuan Williams. And it's one of those situations where I don't mind the idea of mix and match with Will Nixon and DeJuan Williams. Prefer the matchup for Williams. Prefer the role potentially for Nixon in that game. All right, wide receivers. Core plays. Is it a core? Well, is it a core for me without Bryant Wesco? No. I think Clemson, he gets right. Wesco's been an absolute monster, and I don't think it stops here. So he's underpriced. He should be in the 7,500 range. He's the clear top option for Clemson. He's clear best wide receiver. I think they lean on him in this matchup. I have no issues. He's a core play. He's the top raw projected play. Is he my number one play? Like, got to jam him in? No, there's another guy that we're going to get to right now. But you should be playing Bryant Wesco and mixing him in plenty. Core play number 2, a.k.a. who's going to be the number one play on the slate. We mentioned him with Trinidad Shambliss. $4,100 on DK for absolutely no reason whatsoever is Harrison Wallace. He's the number one play on the slate. He's half a point projected worse than Wesco, but for $2,600 cheaper. So, yeah, play Harrison Wallace. Play him a ton. No reason not to. I mean, you're going to get 5x basically out of the guy, and he should be featured in dang near every lineup in reality. So if you're going to lock button somebody on this slate, that's your guy. Core play number 3 at wide receiver. I'm going to put Dwyer. I'm going to put Jordan Dwyer. He's playing really well. He's the guy that you should buy into in this passing offense as the top option. Do I think there's a very viable pivot? Yes. I think most of the ownership goes to Dwyer in this pass catching group. I think you can play multiple guys out of here. But Dwyer is a fantastic play, specifically when you have Hoover in your lineups. And did y'all really think I was not? I mean, this is like highlighting my favorite guys, all year. Cooper Barkate's going to be number 4. Like, how do you not go here? He hadn't scored a touchdown, and he's been double digits every week, leads the team in targets every week, barely been missing with Mensa. I love a Darian Mensa, Cooper Barkate stacked together. He's too cheap. I'm playing him. I'm going to play him a lot. Fast, heavy, everywhere. I can get him. Love this play of Cooper Barkate, specifically with Mensa. I love Mensa doubles even, double stacks, but I love Barkate. I think he finds the end zone this week. And I think this game goes well over its total. No doubt about it. All right. GPP options. So I mentioned Dwyer is going to be the top owned guy for TCU. I love McAllister this week. Specifically love him on FanDuel because the price is ridiculously cheap. He hasn't performed yet. I think this is the breakout week. We've seen it. I called it with Josh Cameron for Baylor when they played SMU. I'm calling it with McAllister. I'm shooting my shot. Give me all of the 6,900 right here. I love this play. Give it to me. Inject it in my veins, as they would say. I think he clears 100 yards. I think he clears a touchdown easy. I think we get to the 20-plus points. Yes, there's a high price tag to pay. Yes, I wish they priced him down a little bit more. But I think his ownership is going to be extremely low for this situation. And you're buying at a low ownership and getting GPP winning upside out of McAllister. Projects terribly this week, but I love him. I think he's a great play. All right. Other GPP play. Nice little dumpster dive option here. I think he comes under-owned, but I can't get over the usage here. Hunter Andrews, man. You give me a guy at wide receiver getting 10 touches a game and they're coming on the ground. I have rushing upside here. Like, give me the rushing upside. I love the pass catching. I love the rushing upside. I'm going to buy into this. It's a GPP option because I don't think people get here. I think it's a weird click. because there's so much value, I don't know that people are going to come down here and go here. And there's other guys we're going to talk about, but I kind of want to go here. I'm intrigued. I'm going to look more at this and maybe I'll have a better answer on Saturday, but I really do like this click for the usage. I like the click on FanDuel too because I just like the raw. I think his raw projection's too low given the role of what we've seen the last 2 weeks. How many other wide receivers are getting 10 touches a game? If the floor is 7, right? This is probably the floor at 7 points. If that's the floor, because the roles developed here, he only had 1 carry for 25 yards against UCLA. But if the floor is 7, I really only want 9. I really only want 9, 10 points. That's 3x. I'll take that out of a 3,200 guy. So I feel very good about this play. Oddly, I just have this weird feeling. Is that the guy that ends up stabbing me in the back? Probably, because there's better plays. I mean, realistically, there's safer plays in that range. Maybe. I don't know. I like the Hunter Andrews play. I just got this weird feeling about that one. That's why he's a GPP option, not a core, not a just in the pool guy. He's just I just feel weird. I have the warm and fuzzies about him. All right, rest of the player pool. Got to round it out on this. Omega Blake, he's cleared number 1 for Arkansas. He needs to be the top option. He scored in every game. He plays good. I love pairing him with Taylor Green. Think he's a great play. Projects well. He just misses out on a core play because there's just slightly better options for me here. Deion Burks, you got to leave him in the pool. Clear alpha for Oklahoma. Like him in game stacks against Auburn. Like him paired with Mateer here and there. Can the floor fall out? Yes, but the ceiling is absolutely there in this type of matchup. Next guy in the pool. We're going to 4,300 Jordan Shipp. So he's the top option on this North Carolina team. Clear alpha here. Is the production been there? Meh. But I think you leave him in the pool. I think he's towards the bottom of the pool for me, but I would keep him in there in case you want to get a piece of North Carolina or a top option. You want to get those alpha wide receivers. He is one. I just think he's really fringy. He projects really well, but he's really fringy for me being in the pool. I don't think that I would go out of my way to get there. Coy Eakin, perennially in the pool. He scores every week. I mean, it's hard not to have him in there. 5,500 is a great price on him. Very fair. Facing Utah, they're going to have to move the football. We'll see kind of how they handle that. But I think you got to have him in the pool. If you're playing Bayron, he's probably a good click to get there. Another good cheap guy. He's right there with Harrison Wallace. Harrison Wallace, slightly better value, but I have a hard time not clicking Romello Brenson in that same range. He's borderline core play because in those tougher matchup, he had that great game. I think he's a very quality play. I think he's the number 1 wideout. There is discussion that Jordan Hudson comes back this week for them, but that's going to take Jalen Cooper off the field. Jalen Cooper's only in the pool at 3,700. If Jordan Hudson's out, Brinson stays in the pool. I think Brinson's a great play. I would prefer to click him certainly over Jalen Cooper, his younger athletic teammate. Cooper's played well. Don't mind the click, but if Hudson's back, he's taking Cooper off the field. So he's fringe, very fringe, and he's injury dependent and status dependent there. I got to keep my guy in there. Reggie Virgil is going to stay in the pool. No doubt about it. Played well the first 2 weeks. A little bit of a struggle last week. Targets were there. He just missed his connection. He has at least 6 targets in every game this season. So he's got to stay in the pool. If you're playing Bayron stacks, I love a double with Reggie Virgil and Coy Eakin as top options out of that passing attack. So this is a guy that I'm going to buy into. He looks like the top option. I think people end up going to Jaleel Farouk. I'm going to stick with Shalik Knots. Caught a touchdown in all 3 games. He kind of seems to be like a great connection with Malik Washington. And at 6'3", he's a big target for him to throw it to. I think with Maryland trailing, Knots is probably a good click to get to, no doubt about. Top option on the Tulane side for me. He's a great value play. Amari Hayes. He's going to see a ton of target volume. He had 9 targets a week ago. He had 9 targets in week 1 against Northwestern. They're probably going to end up trailing to Ole Miss. I think that leads them throwing a lot more. Double digits is probably a lock for Amari Hayes without needing to find the end zone, just because he's going to have pure volume. So I think we see him out of the slot running those short area targets, and Ole Miss probably tries to keep everything in front of them, making it fairly easy there. On the TCU side, we do have one extreme value, and it's going to be, where's my man, Manjack? Love Joseph Manjack, the Houston transfer. Great option as a secondary stack partner. The concern would be he has the capability to give you 100 or to score a touchdown. He could easily 2 for 20 for you, no doubt about it. But he's going to be on the field a ton. So I like him at 3K in this matchup. If you need to go full punt, he's the clear best option below 3,200 at 3K. I like him. And realistically, he's probably a better punt below 3,300. I probably prefer Knots at 3,400, depending on who the quarterback you're playing is. If you're playing Hoover, then yeah, sure, go to Manjack. But I do like Knots a good bit. Hayes at 32 and Andrews at 32, but I probably would prefer Manjack if I was playing one lineup to those other couple. But we're going to get to one guy that I love pairing with John Mateer. Nice and cheap option, and he's kind of underrated for his role. They are utilizing the tight end, middle safe target area. Jaron Kanik, man. I mean, he's playing great ball right now. Just steady performer, going to give you your 13 points. Hadn't found the end zone yet. You add a touchdown to one of these games, you're looking at 6x basically. So I think he's a fabulous play at 3,400. It's a heavy debate for me whether I would prefer Knots or Kanik. Any lineup that features Mateer, I'm going to go Kanik because I want to get that touchdown equity and the touchdown upside. And I love the floor of this kid. He has yet to prove me wrong here, so I'm going to keep leaning on him. I think Auburn's defense tries to play over the top, take away the big play of Burks and Lewis and Sategna, and that's going to leave Kanik in the middle of the field. Sometimes these tight ends go overlooked, and I think Kanik is a great option this week. Last guy that I'm willing to take a shot on, and like I said, you see all these like 3K guys that are easy to fit in here. If I'm going to play a game stack here, I want Cortez Bram. I think he's going to end up being the most targeted guy on this team. They have yet to have trailed heavily in a game. They haven't had a lean on him. Nevada, when they trailed a lot last year, Brendan Lewis looked for Bram. I think this is your top option in this passing offense. Other guys are going to project well. I prefer going to Cortez Bram. So let's look at some of these game stacks. If you're going to game stack a game, there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 that I like. So Mateer and Arnold, I do not hate that as a combination. I do think that if you're going to play that, I would go Mateer with like a Kanik to stack that out. And then if I'm playing Jackson Arnold, I think Oklahoma's defense is going to try to take away his rushing ability, because if you look at it last year they really, really utilized him. So John Mateer revenge game, they utilized him as a runner and said, well, you can't pass. So I think the way to play this is to play, and this is the one time that I'm willing to play Corey Coleman here or Cam Coleman here, but I would play it like that with where's Canic? If I was playing this game stack, I'm playing it this way. So that's how I would play that game stack. Gives me plenty of room to throw in another cheap wide receiver here. Any of the options is fine. Harrison Wallace, great play in that sense. Let's just throw him in. Why not? We'll build a full one while I'm thinking through this. So then that leaves me all that money. All right, we want TJ Harden. That's pretty simple that we're going to want that. Now I've got 7K. That gives you the option to go with a Adam Randall. You could go Adam Randall, Malik Washington, or is that Mike Washington? Yeah, Mike Washington. Malik's the quarterback. So you can go Randall Washington there if you really wanted to. You can go 7,700. That's going to leave you at 6,400. I don't really like the players in that range there. So if I had 64, I mean, maybe you could go Omega Blake, Keywan Lacey. I probably wouldn't. Let's see. I mean, 51 and 50 something. So, me, don't love that range. You could go like Cooper Barkate and Jeremiah Love. You can go 86 leaves you with like 55. So you can go Coy Eakin and Hollywood Smothers. So like there's tons of options here to be able to throw stuff together for that game stack. Second game stack that I'll talk about, I think you can go Steve Angeli. This is the only time I'm playing Steve Angeli. Syracuse Clemson game stack. I think you can go Angeli, saying that Clemson gets out in front. You play Wesco, you play Randall. I don't think you play Klubnik in that game stack, though. I think you play Wesco, saying that Wesco gets all the pass catching volume. Randall scores a couple on the ground. Wesco scores 2 through the air. There's 4 touchdowns, and then you get a rando touchdown or 2 out of them. Angeli with 2 wide receivers. I think you use Ross Simmons, and I think you use Gill in that situation for the big play upside. And I think that's how you game stack that game. You get 5 pieces from the game. Angeli, double stack. Hope Angeli throws for 400, 350 yards. 2 wideouts you're going to need there. And then you get Randall and Wesco as the primary beneficiaries off Clemson. Similarly, I think you go Arkansas, Memphis. I think that's well in play. You go Taylon Green for his rushing and passing. You go Brennan Lewis, the Memphis quarterback. You get Cortez Bram there. If we get word that I think from the Memphis side, you can very well play Sutton Smith with a wide receiver and Lewis in that situation. And then Green is obvious stack partner with Omega Blake in there. So that will get you a full game stack there. I think Dampier well in play as a game stack with Bayron. Bayron, I would do a double. And then Dampier, I think you're fine playing naked even by himself. Bayron, you could even game stack as far as do like a 1 wide receiver, so a Virgil or an Eakin. And you can come back and also use Jacoby Williams as an offset game stack if you want to get a running back in to have an extra. And then my top 2 favorite ways to game stack this week are going to be Josh Hoover doubles. So I would do Hoover with, I think Dwyer and Manjack is going to be the chalk. I would go towards McAllister Manjack or McAllister Dwyer as a really fun way to do it. Because in order for TCU to dominate this game or to win this game, I think you're going to need Hoover to throw for 350 or 400, and you'll get that out of the pass catching options. And I like McAllister, I like Dwyer and Manjack, so I would pick 2 out of the 3. And then I think you can do it as well where you do, like the simple way to do that is to do those 3 from that TCU side and bring it back with Harden. I think that's the base model, but the upgraded version would be to throw Kevin Jennings with Harden, with Romello Brinson in there. And then now you've got a 6-man game stack, and you're hoping that that game is viable to play a full 6-man game stack there with the, let's just run it out here. We're going to want Harden. I'll do it with McAllister just to show how you can do it. Let's do McAllister Dwyer as the upside portion. Give me Brinson right here. And then give me Jennings. All right. And we can even go. Oh, you know what fits exactly? This is funny. This actually fit. Well, yeah, but see, I was no, that sucks. I was gonna do Keywan Lacey with Harrison Wallace, but now I get 2 Ole Miss guys, and how much do I really want that? Not really, not particularly. So like, there's just tons though. That would be the base, and then mix and match how you want to put that together. No issues with that. No issues there. And then also no issues if you said, hey, I want Manjack here to save 3,900. So you can easily get, if you want to go Manjack there, you can. Now you got a ton of salary. You can get in. Well, that's beautiful. You can go Adam Randall, Hollywood Smothers. Like, that's easy build right there. And then you can swap off. You could go extra 1,300. And add in some other stuff and play around with what you could do if you did Manjack with Eric McAllister as well. But that's kind of the easy base there. Favorite game stack of the week. I think it goes under-owned. As I said, I love this game. I think it's the most underrated environment on the slate. Both defenses have struggled. It's Duke NC State. This seems like a 17-14 game in everybody's mind, if I was to guess. It's not. It's absolutely not. So in this sense, if I think the reason why you can play Bailey with Smothers is twofold. One, Bailey will throw to Smothers a ton. So you have upside there to get a stack partner, essentially. Two, I don't trust any of the wide receivers for NC State. Jolly doesn't have Justin Jolie does not have the upside that I desire in that spot. So I'm going to lean on that. Barcate, very obvious option. And then I like going with a double. Give me Quayshawn Brown here. I'm going to want Harden in my stock here. All right. And then that's going to leave me this. So there's 2 ways that I really like playing this. Either A, you lean into that SMU TCU game. So you can get Keywan Lacey, and Joseph Manjack fits in here as a TCU wide receiver. So you get Harden running the ball against TCU, Manjack coming back at 3K. The other way I really like this game, or this play, is to go Adam Randall, who I think is a very good leverage off of that Clemson pass game. And then that gives you the option at 3,600. You've got unreal amounts of options at that point. You can go Shalik. My favorite 2 ways to do it would be Shalik Knotts, who we talked about, as the top option for Maryland, who's probably going to trail playing at Wisconsin. It's not cold outside yet, so we're fine there. So I don't mind that, or I don't mind the safer option probably of Jaren Kanak. So I get a little option there. So I'm still debating this. This is an entry I will have with Randall and then Knotts or Kanak debating. And then also debating the cheaper guys. But, I think that those are my favorite 2 there. And then I think the Lacey Manjack, 100% I'm going to play. But I love this one, and especially for 20 max. Like your bigger tournaments, will I play this in single entry? Hell no. But will I play it in 20 max? Like, probably. Yeah, I think that's a viable way to play this slate. So I think you're going to see a game stack take down some of this stuff. Am I going to play it in the $20? Probably not. I think it's just too much risk for me to assume. Now, maybe I end up on something similar, something like that, where I don't double stack Mensa and I just go Barcate Mensa, Bailey Smothers, Harden, and then I figure it out from there. I think this is something that I'm more willing to play in this, um, just because I tend to be a little bit more risk averse when it comes to these very large field things. But then like the smaller stuff, I'll go very wild and hope to hit something.